Aisha's grandmother had a severe car accident which caused bleeding in her brain. Aisha decided to sue the driver who was responsible, but she was shocked to find her wife Serena waiting for her at the hospital. Serena was supposed to be away on an international business trip. She approached Aisha, her expression hard. "Do you have any idea how critical Kai's excellent internship reviews are for him?" she demanded. "His future can't be destroyed over a car accident. You need to drop the lawsuit immediately. If you don't, I will freeze all of your accounts and have your grandmother moved to a regular ward." With that, she turned and left, calling over her shoulder. "You can come home once you've agreed to drop the lawsuit. Otherwise, don't consider yourself my husband any longer." To cover her grandmother's surgery costs, Aisha reached out for help everywhere she could, but was met with rejection at every turn. It was during this desperate time that a team of lawyers approached her. They informed Aisha that the authorized core technology patent her grandmother had licensed to Momentum Corp., Serena's company, had expired. More importantly, she had already made Aisha the new patent holder. Soon after, when a payment for the hospital failed, Aisha rushed to her wife's office building. "Serena, did you really freeze my accounts for a complete stranger? Don't you realize Grandma needs an urgent craniotomy?" Aisha asked, the memory of her coldness at the hospital fueling her anger. How could you betray her kindness like this? Serena looked at Aisha as if she were just an unreasonable, complaining husband. "Aisha, look at yourself," she said dismissively. "What is the point of arguing with me over something that has already happened?" Her tone suggested Aisha's grandmother was suffering from a minor cold, not a life-or-death emergency requiring surgery. Aisha stared at the woman she had been married to for 12 years, a cold feeling spreading through her chest, as if her heart had fallen into an icy abyss. "Have you forgotten how Momentum Corp. even got started?" Aisha pressed on. "Have you forgotten how Grandma shielded you from an attacker years ago, taking a knife wound that left her with permanent health issues? Now you're willing to cut off her chance at survival just to protect an intern? Serena, is there any humanity left in you?" When they first started dating, Aisha's grandmother had pulled every string she had to support Serena's startup, helping her with every single detail for the patent that brought Momentum Corp. billions in profits each year. Aisha's grandmother only ever took a symbolic fee. You could say that every single achievement of Momentum Corp. was built on Aisha's grandmother's hard work and generosity, yet this was how she was being repaid. After Aisha finished speaking, Serena's cold expression shifted to one of pure anger. She picked up her coffee mug and threw it at Aisha's feet where it shattered, sending a shard of ceramic into her ankle. "What is the point of dragging up these old stories?" she yelled. "All you need to do now is drop the lawsuit and make a public statement saying that Grandma fell on her own. Then this will all be over. If you delay this and she misses her window for surgery, her death will be on your hands." Aisha looked at this woman who felt both familiar and like a complete stranger, and a sense of utter desolation washed over her. Aisha remembered when they had just started dating, how she would brave a rainstorm just to take Aisha home or stay up all night with her if she was sick. She used to worry she wasn't good enough for Aisha's family, so she worked tirelessly to earn certifications and told Aisha she would have a child with her anytime she wanted. Now, standing in her office, it felt like Aisha was truly seeing her for the first time. When Aisha didn't respond, she sneered. "Aisha, there's no need to resort to such pathetic tactics just because you're jealous of Kai. You've been my husband for over a decade. Isn't that enough for you?" Aisha stopped trying to argue and turned to leave. Her grandmother's surgery fees were an urgent matter. After leaving Momentum Corp., Aisha contacted a few friends who were usually warm and friendly toward her, but today they avoided her as if she were a disease. "Aisha, you rely on your wife. Now going against her isn't going to do you any good," one said. "Just let the car accident go. You don't have any evidence anyway. Stop being so stubborn and go apologize to her," another told her. "Serena is in a very strong position. We can't help you even if we wanted to." The blazing sun outside felt as cold as the middle of winter as anger and a sense of injustice surged through Aisha. Her phone rang, and it was Serena. Her icy voice cut through the air. "I'm giving you one day to drop the lawsuit, or don't blame me for forgetting about our marriage. Kai is waiting to go abroad for an important conference." Before she could continue, Aisha heard Kai's voice interrupt in the background saying that if it would soothe Aisha's feelings, he didn't mind being wronged. It's just a shame that I've let down your years of mentoring, he added. Serena's voice became even colder. Aisha, do you want all of us to look bad? Do you think your grandmother wants to see you harassing a bright young talent like him? I'm telling you, even if you refuse, I have my ways. The call ended abruptly. Aisha clenched her fists, and the thought of her grandmother in the ICU filled her with a profound sense of helplessness. 12 years of love couldn't seem to outlast the pressures of time and ambition. The phone rang again, but this time it was the lawyers. Aisha, one of them said, the patents your grandmother authorized to Momentum Corp have expired. She transferred them all to you 6 months ago. Some of the most successful groups in the industry were thriving because of that technology, but Serena seemed to have forgotten that her entire success was built upon Aisha's grandmother's exclusive patents. The woman who used to follow Aisha's grandmother around the lab, diligently taking notes and sneaking snacks to Aisha, had vanished. She had been replaced by the ruthless president of Momentum Corporation, watching Aisha's grandmother through the glass of the ICU. Aisha's anger swelled. How could Serena so easily support the very person who had hurt her mentor? Aisha promised herself that she would not let Kai get away with this. They would both have to pay the price. The lawyer further explained that Aisha's grandmother had prepared the patent transfer before Aisha's marriage, which made it her premarital property. Even as his wife, Serena had no legal rights to them. It was afternoon by the time Aisha arrived back at their house. Aisha had originally come just to retrieve some documents, but she found Serena and Kai sitting together on the living room couch. Kai was holding the protective talisman Aisha's grandmother had gotten for her years ago. Aisha was furious. Who told you that you could touch my things? Aisha yelled. Put it down and get out of my house. Kai looked startled and quickly retreated behind Serena, playing the part of a victim. Aisha, it's all over. The company thinks you want to have me arrested over the accident. I can't even stay there anymore, he mumbled, inching toward the door. I shouldn't have disturbed you and Serena. I'll just head back to the office. But Serena pulled him back, pushing him to sit beside her, even closer than before. Aisha, I've given you a way out of this, she said sharply. Withdraw the lawsuit today. Momentum Corp will not tolerate troublemakers like you. Her inverted logic made Aisha feel sick. Not wanting any more drama, Aisha started to go upstairs to gather the evidence she needed. Serena, remember this, Aisha said, pausing on the stairs. I'm the one who is choosing to leave you. She was stunned by Aisha's words, and her grip on Kai loosened as she grabbed Aisha's wrist. What are you talking about? She asked. Aisha gave her a cold smirk. Aisha, have no need for secondhand goods. Say that again, she hissed, her eyes turning red and her voice becoming chillingly cold. The sudden tension startled Kai, and the amulet he was holding fell to the floor, breaking into 2 pieces. Aisha glared at him with rage. You did that on purpose. Kai, with wide red eyes, waved his hands defensively. Serena, I was just surprised by what Aisha said. I can apologize, but Serena shielded him. It's just a worthless little trinket. There's no need for apologies. She knew perfectly well that Aisha's grandmother had that amulet blessed for Aisha's protection, yet she belittled it so easily. Aisha took a deep breath, trying to suppress her anger. I'm leaving. That should make room for you too. Soon my spot as husband will be available as well. Whoever wants it can have it. Serena understood Aisha's sarcasm and in a fit of rage smacked Aisha hard across the face, knocking her to the ground. What nonsense are you spouting? She screamed. Kai is just a student I've sponsored. I treat him like a brother. You're trying to ruin both of our reputations. As Aisha covered her stinging cheek, the anger inside her dissolved, leaving only a hollow void. After 12 years, she had hit Aisha for the first time, and it was for Kai, without any mercy. Serena tossed Aisha's luggage out the front door. Aisha, don't think you can control me. I don't care where you go. You have half a day left to drop that lawsuit. The door slammed shut. Aisha silently picked up her luggage and headed directly to the law office. Aisha got a hold of all her grandmother's patent transfer documents. Looking at the thick stack of papers that represented her life's work, Aisha's eyes welled up with tears. The lawyer handed Aisha a contract. Aisha, he said, Apex Innovations is willing to offer $1.2 billion for a 5-year patent license. Are you interested in negotiating with them? That evening, alongside her grandmother's legal team, Aisha successfully signed the deal with Apex. As soon as the advance payment came through, Aisha immediately arranged for her grandmother to be transferred to the best hospital in the city to receive top-tier surgery. The next day, Aisha received an invitation from Apex Innovations to attend a major industry summit. Aisha never would have expected to run into Serena and Kai there. "Aisha, what are you doing here?" Kai asked, his gaze flitting between Aisha and Sophia, the CEO of Apex Innovations. His tone was full of mockery. "Even if Serena was a bit harsh with you yesterday, it's not like you to cheat on her so quickly, is it?" he sneered. "And with a loser from a rival company? How embarrassing." Apex Innovations had recently become a rising star in the tech world and was Momentum Corp's biggest competitor. With Aisha's grandmother's patents, Momentum had always held a significant advantage over them. Aisha stared coldly at Kai's idle chatter and, thinking he had hit a nerve, he became even bolder. "As long as you apologize and drop the lawsuit, Serena will forgive everything. By making her look bad publicly like this, how can you even call yourself her husband?" Before Aisha could reply, Serena walked up, snarling at Aisha. "Aisha, have you not had enough airing out our dirty laundry in public? And I'm the one who has to be here to school you on your behavior? You're over 30 years old, and you're behaving worse than an intern. You should really reflect on yourself." Sophia frowned and was about to explain the situation, but Aisha just shook her head at her. "What I do is none of your business," Aisha told Serena, annoyed. She smirked. "Being the husband of the Momentum Corp CEO doesn't concern me." "What nonsense. Your deadline is up. If you don't drop the lawsuit, I will indeed cut off your grandmother's medical resources." Aisha chuckled lightly. "Do as you wish." Serena froze, her eyes narrowing at Aisha. "Yesterday you were fighting me for your grandmother, but now you just abandon her for another woman? You're not being a filial grandson. You're just trying to oppose me. And do you really think Apex Innovations can defeat Momentum Corp? Remember, Momentum holds your grandmother's core technology patents." She leaned in closer. "Just be obedient, and you'll always be my husband, and your grandmother will be fine." Aisha no longer cared about being her husband. With tears in her eyes, Aisha raised her hand, ready to slap her, but just then Kai suddenly interjected, splashing a glass of red wine all over Aisha. "Aisha, making a scene here only shames Serena," he said. Drenched in wine, Aisha must have been a sorry sight. Serena only watched Aisha coldly while she took out a handkerchief to wipe the wine off Kai's hand. "I'm stopping your grandmother's medical resources now," she said. "Remember, you did this to her." Ignoring her, Aisha went to the restroom to change into a spare set of clothes. Aisha said her goodbyes to Sophia and left the venue. Before Aisha left, she could already hear others congratulating Serena, assuming she would secure the summit's main partnership as she always did. As Aisha was at the roadside waiting for a ride, Sophia rushed out. "Aisha, Serena won't affect our deal, right?" she asked, clearly worried that Aisha might still favor her wife. Aisha shook her head. "Once I've made a decision, I don't look back." As Aisha opened the car door, she glanced back at the venue one last time. Serena was standing there, holding her phone, staring at Aisha from across the distance. Suddenly, she dashed over, blocking the car door just as Aisha was about to get in. Her phone was still on a call. "Miss Serena, you heard me correctly." Her secretary's voice came through the speaker. "Aisha's grandmother has been transferred. The patent license to us has expired and been revoked. We are no longer qualified to participate in the summit." The words hit her like a bombshell. Serena's face turned pale as she shoved the phone in Aisha's face. "Aisha, explain this." Kai hurried over, trembling as he snatched the phone and began sifting through the patent files the secretary had sent. "Aisha, how can you take back something you've already given?" he stammered. "Is this the kind of upbringing you get from your family?" Serena, her eyes reddened, snapped at Aisha. "Sign the contract again, and I'll forgive everything." She pushed an electronic contract over to Aisha, but the offer was only for a few million, which was utterly ridiculous. "Sorry," Aisha said calmly. "The patent has already been sold." The silence that followed was palpable. Serena glared at Sophia with venom in her eyes. "Did you sell it to her? Are you insane? Cancel the deal right now." Aisha stared at her coldly, completely unfazed. "Why would I forsake a $1.2 billion offer for you?" $1.2 billion, Kai cried out. She must have bought more than just the patent, right? Aisha, did you do something shady? He looked Aisha up and down, implying something foul. Sophia, now exasperated, called for security. Restrain your people. If there is any more slander, I will pursue legal action. The patents Maria licensed to Momentum Corp have expired. Any legitimate transaction is legally safeguarded. Guards quickly surrounded them. Serena glared at Aisha frostily, her emotions unreadable. Aisha, you will regret this, she said. Kai attempted to speak again, but was silenced by Sophia's stare and followed Serena out of the venue. Aisha smiled at Sophia. Thanks for your help. She replied heartily. Aisha, here's to our successful collaboration. At the summit's conclusion, Apex Innovations secured all the major partnerships, breaking Momentum Corp's long-held monopoly on resources, all thanks to Aisha's grandmother's patents. Just then, the hospital called. Mr. Aisha, your grandmother is awake. Aisha declined Sophia's dinner invitation and rushed to the hospital. Serena had clutched her phone so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She had assumed it was just another car accident, one she could handle with money or influence, just like she always did. Kai, a rookie intern she sponsored, had hit someone. Her plan had been simple: settle it quietly and protect his promising career. After all, to her, Kai was the future of Momentum Corp, while Aisha was just her husband who should follow her lead. She never saw it coming. Not only did Aisha call the police, but she also took back her grandmother's patent, effectively cutting off the lifeline of her entire company. She had tried freezing Aisha's accounts and threatening to cut off medical resources to make Aisha back down, but she had severely underestimated Aisha's resolve. Aisha, don't be mad at Serena. She's just doing all of this for the good of the company. Kai had spoken softly, trying to take her hand with a sycophantic tone, but Serena had pushed his hand away, her eyes full of annoyance. Normally, Kai's familiar gestures didn't bother her, but on that day, it just rubbed her the wrong way. The memory of Aisha's cold look at the summit left a tight feeling in her chest. She told herself it was Aisha who had blown a minor issue out of proportion and cost her the summit spot. Yet she couldn't shake an inexplicable feeling of emptiness inside. Serena, are we going home now? Kai asked cautiously. She was silent for a moment, then gritted her teeth and said, to the hospital. She was still clinging to a sliver of hope, thinking Aisha was bluffing. She believed the story about the transfer of Aisha's grandmother and the $1.2 billion deal were just smoke screens created by Apex Innovations. She was convinced that as long as she showed up in person, Aisha would yield, as she always had, begging for her forgiveness. But when she arrived at the hospital, she saw that it was all real. Aisha's grandmother had been moved to a VIP ward with a dedicated care team, and the surgery had already been a success. Serena stood at the door looking through the glass as Aisha spoke quietly to her grandmother. She felt her chest tighten. Aisha, you came. Grandma spoke weakly, her gaze flickering past Aisha to Kai, her pupils narrowing in recognition. He was the young man who had hit her with his car. Kai laughed lightly, his tone taunting. Maria, do you have any idea what your grandson did? The excellent care you're receiving now is all thanks to him trading Momentum Corp's secrets for it. He's really shameless, all just to get back at Serena. This wasn't the first time Kai had said something like this, and usually Serena would have dismissed it as youthful arrogance, but now it grated on her nerves. Aisha's grandmother suddenly tried to sit up, her face pale with anger as her heart rate soared on the monitor beside her bed. You're lying. You're the one who hit me, and now you're lying about it. Serena tried to stop Kai, but she heard the loud sound of a slap. Aisha had rushed into the room and landed a hard slap across Kai's face. Grandma just had surgery, and you're here provoking her. What exactly is your plan? Aisha demanded. Instead of spouting nonsense, maybe you should think about how you're going to defend yourself in court tomorrow. The judge won't be fooled by you. Aisha grabbed Kai's collar in a fiery rage. Serena clutched Aisha's wrist, whispering threats. I warned you not to blow this up, and you still want to charge him? Your grandmother is awake, so this ends now. I'm telling you, I got rid of all the evidence. Going to court will only end up embarrassing yourself. Aisha shook off her grip with a cold sneer. How the case ends is for the judge to decide, and you are not welcome here. After Kai's case is wrapped up, we'll settle ours, Serena. I'm divorcing you. Saying the word divorce was easier than Aisha thought. In that moment, it felt completely right. 12 years of marriage had turned into nothing more than a farce. Serena stood frozen as if she had misheard Aisha, never imagining Aisha would be so resolute. After all, in 12 years, she knew how much Aisha cared for her. "What nonsense are you talking about?" she finally said, her face turning ashen, her voice laced with anger. "I just favored Kai a little bit, and you're doing this? Or did you get cozy with Sophia, and now you think she's on your side?" She still thought Aisha was just being jealous, perhaps even playing some kind of reverse psychology game. But this marriage was something Aisha truly didn't want anymore. "Grandma raised me for 30 years, while I've only known you for 12. What makes you think I would ever gamble with Grandma's life?" Aisha retorted coldly. Serena was at a loss for words, looking terrible. The heavy atmosphere in the hospital room was suffocating. Arguing any further was pointless. Aisha didn't want to disturb her grandmother's rest, so she called the hospital security directly. They quickly arrived, and Serena left with Kai, tossing a final jab over her shoulder. "With no evidence, let's see how you manage to get Kai convicted in court. You'll come crawling back to me." Kai shot Aisha a challenging look and then left with her. As the room quieted down, Aisha's grandmother coughed lightly. Aisha focused on her bandaged head and the monitoring devices, her eyes misting over. Aisha's parents were gone, and she had raised Aisha with all the warmth and love in the world, but now she looked as fragile as a candle in the wind. Grasping her hand, tears ran down Aisha's face. Silent as always, she just patted Aisha's back, supporting her decision. Aisha resolved then and there to get justice for her. The next day, armed with a folder of evidence, Aisha arrived at court early. Serena and Kai were already there. Kai had brought along colleagues and mentors from work, all there to proclaim his innocence. Upon seeing Aisha's pile of evidence, however, Kai just sneered. "Serena, where did he get all this made-up evidence? Fakes won't hold up in court." Aisha smirked back at him. "The judge only looks at the facts." Aisha's confidence seemed to shake Kai for a moment, but he quickly composed himself, certain that Serena's tactics would prevail, as they always had. He sat up straight and smugly declared, "With Serena backing me, you're going to lose. She even said that if she gets a divorce, I'll become a shareholder at Momentum Corp." He tittered, nestling up beside Serena, who openly doted on him, stroking his shoulder. Aisha remained unfazed. The court session convened. Due to pressure from Momentum Corp, the witnesses only offered written statements, avoiding the stand. Serena, looking restless, snapped, "This barely counts as evidence. Stop wasting my time." Then Aisha's lawyer presented the clinching piece of evidence. Aisha smiled at Serena. "Wait for it. The show is just getting started." The traffic camera footage from the scene was displayed for the court, and it was enough to make a significant impact. Kai went pale. The screen clearly showed him behind the wheel, rushing through a red light and hitting Aisha's grandmother. It showed him leaving her bleeding on the ground and then driving off without so much as a backward glance. Aisha had to shut her eyes, suppressing the anguish of seeing her grandmother in such pain again. Aisha dug her nails into her palms, determined that Kai would pay the price. "This can't be. It's fake," Kai screamed, jumping up from his seat. "He used AI to fake the video and frame me. I wasn't even driving that day, let alone involved in a hit and run." Serena stood up too, her tone firm. "I question the authenticity of this evidence." They obviously didn't believe it was real. The first time Aisha had tried to get the surveillance footage, she was blocked at every turn. The property management and the traffic police both kept putting her off, and then they eventually gave her a doctored video, one where her grandmother simply fell on her own with no car accident involved. Aisha argued with them, but they insisted it was the truth and told her to stop causing trouble. The power of Momentum Corp was like a huge net, capable of blocking out the sky and turning black into white. But Momentum Corp wasn't nearly as influential after they lost Aisha's grandmother's patent. With some connections from Apex Innovations, Aisha was eventually able to reach a surveillance manager who refused to be bought and finally got the original, untampered video. That's what led to the bombshell in the courtroom. "He just wants to ruin me." Kai turned to the court audience, trying to gain their sympathy. "He's jealous of my success, so he used a fake video to smear my name. I'm not that kind of person." But the video evidence was right there for everyone to see, and the audience remained silent. Kai's voice got weaker, tinged with panic. Aisha, I'm going to sue you for defamation. The judge banged the gavel sternly, saying, Quiet. This is not a place for arguing. The video was sent to a professional institution for verification, and the results showed no signs of tampering. Not only that, but they also submitted other surveillance footage from nearby shops to reconstruct the incident from multiple angles. Apex Innovations had even convinced a witness to testify in person. She pointed directly at Kai, her voice trembling but firm. It was him. He hit the person, and then he ran. I saw it with my own eyes. Aisha stood up, faced the judge and everyone present, and revealed even more truths. Kai didn't just drive drunk this one time. He's done it before. Over the years, he has used the power of Momentum Corp to force victims to sign waivers or to twist the truth in court. If I hadn't found solid evidence this time, the injustice done to my grandmother might never have been uncovered. The audience reacted with shock. Kai's colleagues and mentor whispered among themselves, their supportive expressions turning skeptical. The courtroom was being live-streamed, which triggered a heated discussion online, with countless netizens speaking up in support of Aisha's grandmother. A top-notch university in turn being so shameless, one comment read. Momentum Corp's Serena is even worse, covering up for a criminal and ditching her own benefactor, truly heartless, another said. Support Aisha, we can't let this couple get away scot-free. With ironclad evidence against him, Kai finally broke down, sobbing as he looked at Serena. Serena, I don't want to go to jail. Please save me. But even Serena was unsteady now. She never thought Aisha would go this far for her grandmother, tearing their entire relationship apart and ruining both her and Momentum Corp's reputation in the process. She glared at Aisha, her eyes a mix of resentment and other complicated emotions. But Aisha faced her gaze fearlessly. When the gavel finally fell, Serena's expression changed completely. Kai was sentenced, and his dream of being an outstanding intern was officially over. As he was being taken away, he cried and grabbed Serena's sleeve, begging, Serena, save me. I don't want to go to jail. Serena pushed him away and slapped him hard. What did you do in Momentum Corp's name that you had to bring such shame to me? Funding you was the biggest mistake of my life. Seeing Serena turn on him, Kai truly lost it. You said you would make me a core member of Momentum Corp. You lied. You're just throwing me out there to save Aisha, making me take the fall for everything. Serena, you can't have a good end. Serena's face was pale. Without you, Aisha wouldn't have been so against me. You ruined my marriage, and you expect to get into Momentum Corp's higher-ups? Dream on. Kai collapsed to the ground, his hair disheveled, looking nothing like his usual cocky self. He struggled towards Aisha, kneeling and bowing his head. Aisha, I was wrong. I'll apologize to Maria. I'll do anything for your family. Just please don't send me to jail. Give me another chance. Aisha looked at him coldly, feeling no sympathy. Kai had been so arrogant before, doing whatever he wanted with Serena's protection. He never stopped to think that the people he had hurt had also begged for mercy. Kai's forehead started to bleed from his bowing, but Aisha just turned and left without a word. Outside the courtroom, Serena stopped Aisha. Aisha casually threw the divorce papers at her. Sign these soon. Let's get the procedure done in a few days. Her hand trembled slightly as she took them. Are you serious? You're not just mad at me. Aisha stayed silent, letting her eyes give her the answer. I don't agree, she said, clenching her fists. There is nothing going on between me and Kai. You can't force me to divorce you over baseless reasons. Grandma is still waiting for us to watch the sunrise at the beach, remember? We promised to fix up the old house together next year, didn't you? Listening to these past promises, Aisha sneered. When you froze my accounts and cut off that grandma's medical resources for Kai, did you think of all that? If grandma hadn't prepared ahead of time, she might not even be alive right now. You think I don't know how many times you met Kai secretly? You even brought him to company events, gave him special treatment, and set him as a priority. I have been giving you chances, but what about you? Serena's face turned pale. She opened her mouth, but couldn't find any words. Aisha turned towards the exit and pushed open the door. She shouted behind Aisha, I won't sign it. Aisha paused and looked back coldly. If you don't, I will find a way. Without Aisha's grandmother's patent, Serena was a shadow of her former self. Momentum Corp lost multiple core projects after the patent went to Apex, and Kai's case going public only worsened the storm, sending their stock plummeting. The core team, unhappy about Serena's actions, jumped ship to Apex Innovations. Serena scrambled to save her company, running herself ragged day and night. But she still took the time every day to visit Aisha's grandmother at the hospital, hoping to somehow regain the patent rights. Aisha's grandmother calmly accepted her visits, but never once mentioned the patent. She would occasionally smile lightly and say, "Serena, let bygones be bygones." These words gave Serena a sliver of hope that there was still room to maneuver. The day Aisha's grandmother was discharged, Serena came again. She stood outside the hospital room, looking exhausted with bloodshot eyes. The once proud CEO of Momentum Corp now looked like a tired, ordinary woman. "Aisha, let's go home," she said cautiously, reaching for Aisha's luggage. Her voice was careful and soft. Aisha avoided her hand coldly. "When will you sign the divorce papers?" Serena bit her lip, a hint of panic flashing in her eyes. "Can you give me another chance? We've been married for 12 years. Are you really okay with throwing all of that away?" Seeing that Aisha remained unmoved, she turned to Aisha's grandmother, her voice trembling. "Grandma, please talk to him. We're family. Can you just watch us fall apart like this?" Aisha's grandmother, sitting in her wheelchair, was gentle but firm. "Serena, I gave you that patent hoping that you would treat Aisha well, but you used it to abuse your power, and you even hurt him. Even if Aisha didn't ask for a divorce, I would not let you continue to hurt him." Serena stumbled backward, clutching her head as if she couldn't bear the words. "Aisha, I swear I'll treat you well from now on. Please don't leave me. I can't live without you." Her voice was sincere, just like it was when they first got married. She used to make Aisha soup late at night and promise her a lifetime together, but she couldn't keep those promises. The trust they once had was completely crushed by her coldness and betrayal. Aisha watched her silently, about to speak, when a few police officers walked into the room. "Serena, you are under suspicion of commercial bribery and evidence destruction. Please come with us." Serena froze and looked at Aisha with disbelief. "Did you call the police?" Aisha shook her head. "You know what you did." After the incident with Kai, Apex Innovations had secretly investigated Momentum Corp's finances. They found that she had used company funds to bribe people and had destroyed evidence to cover up Kai's repeated misdeeds. Those crimes were now the chains she had to bear. As she was taken away, Serena's face was full of tears. She looked back at Aisha as if she had just lost the most precious thing in her life, but Aisha didn't look at her again. Aisha just pushed her grandmother's wheelchair out of the hospital. A few days later, Aisha received the divorce papers from the detention center, bearing Serena's signature. Aisha had finally ended their 12-year marriage. With the new year, Momentum Corp faced bankruptcy. Its former glory turned into nothing. Meanwhile, Apex Innovations, using Aisha's grandmother's patents, quickly rose up and became an industry leader. Encouraged by her grandmother, Aisha decided to go back to school and study management. She stayed at home, resting, sometimes going through her old notes and working on new technological ideas. She often said, "Aisha, there's a long road ahead. We have to keep moving forward." Aisha sold the house that Serena and Aisha had shared, clearing out all the old things. That part of Aisha's past felt like dust blown away by the wind, leaving no trace behind. Aisha started a small tech company focusing on medical technology development. Her grandmother smiled and said, "Holding the reins in your own hands, that's real confidence." Aisha believed the future for her grandmother and her would be bright and sunny. 6 months later, Aisha's company secured its first major medical equipment development project in collaboration with Apex Innovations. Aisha's grandmother's health continued to improve, and she would occasionally visit the company to offer advice. Her insights always sparked new ideas in the team. One day, Aisha received an anonymous email with a recording attached. When Aisha played it, she heard Serena's voice, weary and full of regret. "Aisha, if I could do it all over again, I'd never let Kai ruin us." The recording was patchy, as if she had secretly made it from the detention center. She mentioned how she had initially supported Kai not just for his talent, but because being around him made her feel at ease in her high-pressure career. She thought she could handle everything, but Kai's ambition and her own indulgence became the straws that broke their marriage. "I never thought I would really lose you." she ended, her voice choking. Aisha listened in silence for a long time, and then she deleted the recording. Serena's remorse came too late, and Aisha no longer needed her explanations. As Aisha's company found its footing, she began to sponsor underprivileged students. With only one, they must be honest and trustworthy. Aisha's grandmother would often smile and say, "Aisha, you're passing on the kindness that you received back then." One evening, as Aisha was sitting with her grandmother watching the sunset, she suddenly asked, "Aisha, have you ever thought about finding someone else? Life is long. Don't let the past hold you back." Aisha smiled. "Grandma, I'm doing well as is. Being alone isn't so bad. When the time is right, it will happen." She nodded, her eyes full of contentment. The sun set, casting a warm glow over the yard. Aisha knew their new chapter had quietly begun.